Harper, Doc, and I recorded the following RIP segment in honor of Ole Anderson on an upcoming Saturday night on TBS review show that we recorded. We're going to go to that segment now, and then after this segment, you'll hear what we consider to be one of Ole Anderson's great promos, of his many great promos from his time in wrestling, when he split from the Four Horsemen.
Ole Anderson died.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough one.
Hey, an original Horseman has left the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original. And I wanted to read something because did you see?
Because you've been working on your reading and it's getting better. Is that why?
We can't RIP Ole for Doc to say something. So Arn Anderson posted something. He had a post on Twitter, said RIP Rock. He said each one, and I think this encapsulates Ole very well. Each one of us starts dying the moment we are born. Some of us live long, fruitful lives. Some die too soon. All I have been able to figure out in my 65 years is to treat people how you want to be treated. And if they teach you anything, be grateful for that. Ole Anderson was brutally honest when it came to how he felt about life and wrestling. He gave me the rub of a lifetime, taking Gene's spot in the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. The Four Horsemen followed, and we know how that went. He was a mentor to me without meaning to be. I studied, and I will teach my son Oleisms. To his family and people that loved him, we grieve with you. To those who thought Ole was too ornery to die, 81 is a full life. Man, Ole was a mean-ass man. And you can't even say old man because he was mean for, well, even when he was young. But you can't take away his contributions from professional wrestling. Now, for us, that starts with, TBS in the mid 80s and being a founding member of the Horsemen. But I mean, he had his faults, but on screen, Doc, what are your thoughts on Ole Anderson?
Well, the other thing about what you said is that if you stick around long enough in this business, they're not all going to be wins. So, I mean, you could sit here and take pot shots at the guy and go, he was the Black Scorpion. But, he did a lot of things for a lot of people, and maybe even not meaning to, like an Arn and a Flair. To be honest, Flair said he got, tweeted he got the rub of being a cousin. And that's what got him in. That's what got him. He said, that's what really got me in the game.
Yeah, forgot about that.
So, there is the stuff where they close the gate, the cage, and beat up Dusty, and it's a real riot. There's the one with Thunderbolt Powder. There's the thing where he turns on Dusty in like 1980. That was like an 8-month, a year-long thing. That's a guy that contributed. You can argue about his methods. You can argue about his demeanor. He wouldn't last a second in today's environment, but I don't think he'd want to. I mean, that's one of the old originals that's now gone, and there you go.
Yeah.
Harper, you got thoughts on Ole?
I mean, he was one of the OG crusty old men, bro. And the thing is, when you've been around as long as he has, I mean, you're gonna piss people off. Not everyone's gonna like you. So
that's my excuse for me.
But we, Harper, you know this from being on the mud shows, and so do I. There's a million people you cross paths with, not a million, but there's hundreds and thousands of guys you cross paths with that you go out there, they don't see a minute of what you do, and they patting you on the back when you come through the curtain, and, oh, brother, that was good. They didn't see a second of it. Well, yeah. Ole Anderson was the exact opposite of that. Like, he didn't give two shits about telling you what he thought about you being the drizzling shits.
Yeah.
And so as much as people, like, bag on Ole for being this curmudgeon, and actually it's become a funny thing in last 20 years about how miserable he was, right? It's become just comedy at this point. Ole's never happy. He's never smiling. like you kind of need at least some level of a person like that in wrestling so that you just have somebody who can be brutally honest with you at all times. And unfortunately, when you're brutally honest with people, you're going to rub people the wrong way and they're going to think you're an asshole.
Yeah, it's like Luke.
Oh, yeah, he's miserable. Yeah, no kidding. He can be so miserable with certain things. But, I mean, you kind of need somebody to have that brutally honest opinion. Because if not, nobody else is going to tell. Let me say nobody. Not many other people are going to tell you.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know that I always like the shoot interview, or I don't like this and that and that. Because I don't know that it catches guys in their best moments.
I mean, what's the shoot interview anymore, you know?
But that stuff is leaving the room, and it needs to be preserved because it ain't ever coming back. And if you cared about what happened, the time of wrestling that we review and before, you better have those stories documented somewhere.
Yeah, you're talking about like all the high spot stuff and everything that's been like done over the years with people like Ole and whatnot. You're not kidding, man. That stuff, like that's all you got of many of these folks as they pass on. I mean, we say it all the time, like we ain't getting no younger. And I mean, 81 is a full life. I mean, Doc, if somebody told you right now, hey man, I'll sign you up for 81 years, would you take it? I'll guarantee you 81. You taking that deal?
I'd run some numbers.
Come here and tell us your side of the story.
Well, as you say, a lot of people have been asking me what's happening with the four horsemen. I'll tell you this, as far as Flair is concerned, I really don't know because I haven't talked to him. Arn, I've only heard some things about him, and I'd say the kid's a little bit confused, and maybe he's just letting his brain race a little bit further than it should right now. Lex Luger, I tell you right now, you might be making a big mistake. You're a big kid, good-looking, got a lot of future. But I don't think you're going to have a future with a guy like James J. Dillon. I don't think you're going to have a future with a guy like Tully Blanchard, the man that's the outsider. And I'll tell you why. Because anytime a person puts their business, whatever it might be, whether it's making cars or down here at the factory someplace, putting up tomatoes, or it's a farmer out here growing corn, if you put that ahead of your family, then you're making a big mistake. And I'll tell you what, in the years I've been on Earth, I finally maybe learned myself that there is something that's very important, that is family. And anytime I got to listen to a guy like Tully Blanchard or James J. Dillon calling my people no good and making some comment about my son. Now you take a look and you ask yourself, you're sitting at home, you're right here in this building. What's more important to you if it isn't your family? What do we got Christmas for? What do we got birthdays? What do we got all these things for if it's not family? Well, I tell you, it's real important to me. Family is real important. And nobody makes a comment about my boy. I understand, Dylan, he's even got this big Bubba. Well, I tell you what, Bubba, if you think it's easy, ask some of these people here, ask them all around the country what it was like when the Andersons were riding high. I might be an old horse, but as far as I'm concerned, there's still one ride left. Bubba, Tully, JJ, anybody else that wants a piece of Anderson, it's going to be real easy. I know, Arn, you talked about the fire. You looked in my eyes and you said maybe the fire was going. Well, you look in my eyes again. You know what they say? The flame burns brightest just before it goes out. Well, maybe I'm on my way out, but it's burning bright right now. And I got one reason above all, that I'm going to make sure I knock some heads and I break some arms. And I'll tell you what that reason is. It's that son of mine. It's that snot nose. And everywhere I go, I'll be looking at you, Tully. I'll be looking at you, JJ. And I'll be looking for you, Big Bubba. And I'll be looking at you, and I'm going to be calling you a snot nose. Look out, because Anderson's coming.